Hello, beautiful people. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Hyacinth Henderson. For those who aren't familiar with me, this is my YouTube channel. You can find out more ways to connect with me down below. I wanted to hop on here and record this video because I received this question from one of my members in my group coaching program called the Warrior Training Camp. And it was such a great question that I immediately received the download to record a video and share it because I know that other people can benefit from the answer. So that's what I'm doing. So my intention is for this video not to be too long because it's actually like 8:12 p.m. when I'm recording this, and it has been a long day at my office. And I'm ready to unwind. I'm ready to take the day off. But I want us to get this done for y'all, okay? And we'll talk more about that in another video, I'm sure. It's called Taking Inspired Action. So when the inspiration hit, I could have put it off, but because it was such a strong urge to say, hey, do a video for this, I know that there is a window of opportunity when we start talking more about aligning, what common people call manifesting, but it's really aligning. You'll understand the importance of taking inspired action very quickly. So that's what I'm doing with this video. Anyway, I am going to read the email, the message, the question that she asked, and then I'm going to respond live. I'm going to respond on the video, and you all let me know. Give me your feedback. Don't be shy. Give me your feedback. Let me know if this video helped you in any way. If you have follow-up questions, if you found it insightful, just give me your feedback. So here is the email. It's a little lengthy, but I know y'all can hang on tight to your seatbelts, all right? So it says, so within the Warrior Training Camp, we are collectively reading the book Think and Grow Rich. So we often read different books, mindset books, metaphysical books, different types of books, because we know that everything starts within. So in this season, we are reading Think and Grow Rich. We're actually coming to the end of it. We've been reading it for quite a few weeks now. And so she has a question. We have a discussion coming up, and she emailed me a question. She says, I'm so ready to get into Think and Grow Rich during our next WTC, which stands for Warrior Training Camp meeting. Let's get into my thoughts. She says, the author mentioned how men were driven by the women in their lives. What were these women doing to make the man motivated? And she put some personal thoughts in there where she says she knows that as she goes through this self-development process, she was fully aware that she would have to let some people go, right? As you go and elevate to next seasons in your life, not everybody can go with you. She said, it's like this season in my life came to an end. I like the growth I've seen in myself, and I want to continue moving forward. However, there are times when I don't feel like my husband doesn't like the progress and he's not on board. So now you can see why she asked the question about the author mentioning how the women motivated their men, because she is in a season where she's finding that her husband may not be on board, he is not on board at this point. And she says, I want to be like those women referenced in the book and motivate or drive him to develop and use his creative, purposeful, productive part of himself. So that's the first question. Then the second question speaks to the chapter titled Sexual Transmutation in Think and Grow Rich. And she says, I've gone back and I've read this and I've listened to it on Audible multiple times. I feel like the more that I create, the less I desire intercourse. When I use my mind all day at work, during homework with the kids, while learning topics for personal development, such as angel investing, real estate development, etc., I am exhausted and I want to turn my mind off at night and go to sleep and rest. But then I have a whole man looking at me like, let me get some. LOL. Based on this chapter, I think I have transferred sex energy into creative energy. Am I on the right track? So my first response as I read this email, my first thing, and I'm going to say it here, is girl, you need to have sex with your husband. Like, period. Point blank, you must have sex with your husband, provided that there isn't any abuse, any physical abuse, mental abuse, drug abuse, or things like that. If it's a safe environment, if you're not in an abusive environment, you absolutely need to have sex with your husband, period. That's a full stop sentence. Full stop. So for men, and now I'm going to go and break down the other areas of the email, and it will tie into why I first answer by saying you must have sex with your husband. So sex is very important to men. Very, very important to men. It doesn't make it right or wrong. It just is what it is. And when you have entered into a union such as marriage, then you have to know that you have to have sex with your husband. You cannot withhold sex from him for any reason. It just is unacceptable. Okay, so I'm now going to answer her questions or provide some insight based on a person who loves her husband and wants to stay married. So I'm giving her my response because there is no abuse. I am pro partnership. I am pro marriage. I am pro coupling up. Although I am not married, I am still pro all of those things. I am not one of those strong, independent women who feel like you don't need no man. And I'm like, girl, keep your husband, provided that there isn't any abuse and things like that, right? There needs to be a way to work it out. The second thing that I want to go on record stating is that everything that I say here today is in reference to men, not males. Just because you have boy anatomy, just because you have a penis, does not make you a man. There is a process in which a male becomes a man. Some males go through that process and some males do not. Some males go through it earlier than others. Some males never go through it. You have 60-year-old males, 70-year-old males. However, I'm going to answer this question with the assumption that her husband is a man. And I'm saying that because some of you who are listening, you may not be married. And so you may have a boyfriend or you may be dating. And you'll need to understand the difference between a male and a man and what your position should be. So the first thing I wanted to touch on is her question. And she says, how does she, I want to be like these women referenced in the book and motivate or drive him to develop and use his creative and purposeful, productive part of himself. My response to that is you do not motivate a man. A woman does not motivate a man. That's a full stop as well, right? So I know that for some of y'all listening, this may be a little straightforward. Just because it's straightforward doesn't mean it's something that you don't need to hear. So women don't motivate men. Motivating behavior and the act of motivating is very masculine behavior. So when a man is in the presence of another man, not a male, I didn't listen to the words. When a man is in the presence of another male, there automatically becomes this process of him poking his chest out, and it becomes a competition. It becomes sword fighting, even though you may not see the swords. So as a woman, you never want to motivate your man to do anything. You don't want to motivate him, to drive him, to be creative and push him. What you can do, which is very feminine, is inspire him. Sounds similar, but different. Motivating is doing. Think about the motivational speakers that we hear nowadays, right? So you may hear them all over YouTube. Some of you wake up in the rising in the AM and you put on motivational speakers and they're very get up, do it, go do it. You can't do that to your husband. You can't do that to your man. He's not going to respond to that. He is, however, going to respond to you inspiring him to go out and be the man that he is and act as a man and not a male. And men are providers. Naturally, men naturally are motivated to follow purpose and to provide. And so how do you inspire a man to do that? Well, you got to fall more into your feminine. As I read more of the, let me go back and read another part of her question, because I want to tie this into what she's going to have to do by way of inspiring her husband instead of motivating her husband. So she says this is about the sex transmutation part. And in the book, Think and Grow Rich, the author does a beautiful job explaining and teaching that sexual energy is creative energy, which is 1,000% true. Sexual energy is creative energy. And he talks extensively about understanding how to use that sexual energy and turn it into creative energy so that you can very well create worlds, you can create businesses, you can create whatever it is you want to create. So when you see people who are hypersexual, whether they're children, young adults, whatever the case may be, and especially if they're children, I would encourage you to give them things that allow them to create. So don't shun them and don't talk down on them for being sexual or exploring sex and things like that. You need to replace that or present things that allow them to express their creative energy, because sexual energy is creative energy at its core. It has to go somewhere. Which is why the purpose of sex is to create babies, right? Okay, but we'll go there another day. She says, I feel like the more I create, the less I desire intercourse. Very true. I use my mind all day at work, doing homework with the children, researching topics for personal development. By the time I get into bed, I'm tired. I'm not thinking about sex. You're very much in your masculine energy. Very much so. Very, very much so. And so what happens is you have been out there hunting all day long, using all of that energy, that now when you lay down, it seems like the roles have been reversed. Instead of you wanting to please your husband, him being more in his feminine energy, he's wanting to please you. And you're like, I'm tired. This is why, and we're going to be real grown on this channel. This is why, as a woman, for your husband or your mate or whatever situation you have going on, you should always keep his penis in your mouth. Even if you can't have sex, you should be sucking some penis. That's one of the things that, even no matter how tired he is, you putting his penis in your mouth, he gonna be okay. He gonna relax after a long day at work. So now let's think about this and this question. So my first response to this section would be, you got to slow down and speed up. And I know I get it as an ambitious woman myself, as a woman who wears many hats and does many things. Sometimes when you are on that path where you're consistently moving forward, the last thing you want to hear is somebody to say, I got to slow down. But girl, we're talking about your husband. We aren't talking about your friend. We aren't talking about your boss. We're talking about your husband, your marriage of XYZ years, of several years. That's what we're talking about. So my advice to you is you have to slow down to speed up and come out of that masculine energy stuff. I'm not asking you to put all your dreams on the back burner forever, but I am asking you to say, if I want this marriage, if I love my husband, then I am going to have to back out of some of this masculine energy, allow him to rise up in his masculine energy, and allow me to fall more into my femininity. And so the question that comes to mind is, well, Hyacinth, are you telling me that I just need to kill all my dreams and do this forever? No, I didn't say forever, but I am suggesting for a season. So when you think about the seasons of life, we have winter, summer, spring, fall, right? Does it go that way? Winter, spring, summer, fall. We have the seasons. After winter comes spring. After spring comes summer. After summer comes fall. We know that the seasons are coming. So when I ask you to slow down, to speed up, I'm not asking you to stay stuck in the dead of winter, but I am asking you to recognize that the season that you're in now. And in this season, there are some things that are off balance a little bit. And you want your marriage and you want them to be balanced. So you're going to have to say, okay, I know that it's winter, and Hyacinth, I'm like you, girl. I do not like the cold. I like the warmth. But because it's winter, I have to wear my winter clothes. Because it's winter, I must wear my winter coat. I must wear my long johns. I cannot be outside in my 2-piece or my 1-piece. And, I can't do that because I would be out of order. I would freeze. I would be uncomfortable. And so right now, it's very uncomfortable for you as you're growing. And it is very likely that it's uncomfortable for your husband as well, especially if you are depriving him of sex. It is uncomfortable. So now what do we need to do? We need to put on the appropriate clothes for the appropriate season that we're in. We need to say, listen, I know I was having a great time in my bathing suit and sipping margaritas on the beach, but it's freezing out here now. And right now I'm going to have to suit up and boot up because I need to be able to not only survive, but thrive in this season. And if I don't suit up and boot up in this season, if I stay out here in the cold with my bathing suit on, I may freeze to death. I may not even make it to spring or summer. Translation. If I stay in this masculine energy, if I stay full steam ahead in this energy of doing, and too tired for sex and this, you may not even make it to the next season. And so, yes, you're going to have to go first. You're going to have to inspire him by falling more into your feminine energy. So I know what it's like to have a day job, your self-employment jobs, your side hustle, your children, and all the things like that. Something is going to have to shift right now. That's just the way that it is. Something's going to have to shift. So you're going to have to get very intentional with your time and your schedules and prioritize your husband. So the order goes your husband first. Yeah, it goes that way. Your husband, the children. Revisit some of the roles that you and your husband have. And I'm not asking you to watch this video and have a conversation and say, hey, husband, this is what we're going to have to do. I'm going to slow down and speed up, and I'm putting you on probation because I want to see if you're going to man up and move more into your masculine energy in 6 months. And if you don't do it in 6 months, then we're getting a divorce. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to naturally start shifting. Maybe it's coming home a little bit earlier. Maybe it's you cooking dinner, his favorite meal. Maybe it's you putting on that lingerie. Maybe it's you complimenting him. Maybe it's you telling him how much you appreciate him. Maybe it's you falling back and not doing some of the more masculine roles and responsibilities in the marriage and leaning on him to do it. Asking him to do it. And I know that it's going to take some work. It's going to take some adjustment, just like as season change, right? So when we go from winter to spring and it starts raining, we get rained on a few times. We leave our raincoat and we leave our umbrella at home a few times. But after a few times of getting rained on, then we become prepared. So as you're shifting seasons, it may be a little bit of a clash in the beginning because it's not normal. You all have been in this space for so long that both of you all have gotten comfortable with the space that you're in until you decided to start growing more. And then you're like, wait, hold on. I want more now. And you're not doing whatever it is that you're doing. I don't know why, whatever the case may be. But if your husband is a man and not a male, he's going to pull up. That's how you inspire him to do more. And really and truly, women, you're not supposed to be doing all this work anyway. We're really not. We're really not supposed to be having the day job and I got to do this and I got to do that. That's your husband's job. And I know the society that we live in now has trained us and bamboozled us out of our position thinking that we have to do all of this. And we're exhausted now. Now we're too tired to have sex with our husband. Imagine being married and too tired to have sex with your husband. Out of order. Completely out of order. So the takeaways, number one, you never motivate a man, you inspire him, and you inspire him softly. The act of inspiring a man is an act of being. It's not an act of doing and telling. It's not, I'm telling you to do this. I'm telling you this is what it's going to be. It's being. If you have somebody who is in tune, and if you have a man and not a male, he is going to see how you are moving, and he is naturally going to start moving that way as well. And then you can also ask for his help. When you start asking for your husband's help or a man's help, oh my gosh. If he's a man, not a male. Males complain when women ask for help. Men love when women ask for help. Men are solution focused. You wonder why your man, not your male, doesn't want to hear all this, He wants to get to the point so that he can provide you with a solution. That's it. And oftentimes women will be like, he doesn't want to hear me talk about this and he doesn't want to listen to me. That's not how a man is wired. A man is wired to provide a solution. And the longer you take dragging out all this stuff, he's like, lady, just tell me what I got to do to get to the solution. So as you're leaning more and you're into your femininity, you're going to have to ask him to do things, not tell him. And you're going to have a different voice with your husband. You're going to have to talk in different ways to him. Right? So the octaves in your voice is going to need to go down a little bit. You're going to have to, get your nails done. You're going to have to look at him a certain way. You're going to have to receive him a certain way. And I know that it may be different because maybe you haven't done it in such a long period of time, especially if you've been operating in this masculine energy with doing all of these things. So it's going to be an adjustment process, but it can be done just like seasons. You can remember your umbrella so you don't keep getting rained on. And then once you remember your umbrella and you start adjusting and getting acclimated to spring, and now that it's raining, guess what? The flowers are going to start to bloom. And when the flowers start to bloom in your marriage, then you can start slowly deciding what you want to add back on your plate. But all of your goals and your ambitions and your aspirations do not come before your husband. They don't come before your husband. No, they don't. And for those of you who are listening, you may be dating someone, a woman, a female, and you may be dating a male, and you're listening, and you may find that he's complaining, he doesn't provide solutions. You are being this feminine woman, you are doing all of these things, and he's still not getting it. Well, baby, you have a male and not a man. And I would advise you at that point, before you marry him, to think twice. Because once you are under the covenant of marriage, it's a little bit different. It's just a little bit different. All right. So again, I said I was going to keep this video short. Drop a note in the comments down below. Let me know what you liked about the video, what you loved about the video. If you need clarification, I'd love to come back on here and provide clarification for you. And I'll also drop the links to the Warrior Training Camp down below. We would love to have you. We do group calls. We read books together. We just do a lot of stuff. It is the most economic way to gain access to me and my coaching and all that I have to offer. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time. Later.